Okay, this is page 3, Year 8 Easter Revision. And we're doing substitution. And the absolute, can't emphasize it enough, is when you're doing substitution, when you're replacing numbers instead of letters, you must always use brackets. Now, sometimes you can get away with not doing it, but if you use brackets, okay, a lot of the problems that occur will disappear. Most of the problems come from negative numbers, and if you use brackets, okay, then that problem will go away because the calculator will do it correctly for you. In part 1, then we've got to put numbers instead of this x here, okay? And you can see that I've just written out 5 open brackets. I've replaced the x with open brackets, and I've done it 3 times. Then I'm just going to put the two different. So in the part A, they wanted me to change x for 2. In part B, they wanted me to change it for 6. And for part thing, they wanted me to change it for 10. Okay. Now look at question 2. Number 2, okay, they've got 3x. And again, I've replaced the x with open brackets. I've done that 3 times. And in part 1, they want me to change it from -2. So I just put -2 inside those brackets. Then they wanted 10 in part B, and they wanted -12 here. And here we're going to go in number 3, we've got x squared. So I've done open brackets squared. And now I've done that 3 times. And they want me to change this one, substitute 3 in for x, substitute -4 in for x, and substitute -10 in for x. And these are really good examples of where, if you don't use brackets, you will make a mistake. Well, if we just go through here, so we can just use our calculator, okay? If you use your calculator effectively, I'll just make it so you can see calculator. It's not always easy to do that. So there we go. So here, I think that's probably best. So I've just done 5 open bracket. Okay, you can see that I'm ready to receive some numbers. So they wanted 2 in the first one, so that's 10. And in the next one, they wanted 6. So I put 6 there, it gives me 30. Okay, so that one is 10, that one is 30, and if you do this one, you get 50. Okay, to be honest with you, with that one, you might get away with not using brackets, but you'll see soon how brackets will become very, very crucial. So here I'm substituting 3, the x I've replaced with open brackets, and now I'm just going to put in my numbers, -2, so that's -6. And I'm going to go scoop back up the top here and change that to the next number, which is just 10. Yeah, you really can take a load off, just let the calculator do all the work. There's 30 it's showing there. And if you do the same thing again, just go back up there, switch it to -12. And it just does all the work for you. If you use brackets, it will let you do. The calculator will do all the work for you. Now here's the crucial one, because if you hadn't used brackets here, you'd have problems. So if I put 3 squared in here, so I'm just going to do open brackets squared, ready to receive the numbers here, ready to receive the numbers. Yeah, remember I had x squared and I've replaced the x with open brackets. And so I'm going to go back up here, change that to 3, and that gives me 9. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up here, so I had to do -4. So what I'm doing is going back up here, changing that to -4, okay, and pressing squared, and look, so -4 in brackets squared is 16. Now, if you had not used brackets, you'd have got a different answer, okay, a different answer, which would be wrong. And here I need to go back up here, so open bracket squared, that was what we started off with, and placing it, they want part C, they want -10. If I put that in there, I'll get 100. Now let's have a look at questions 4 and 5. Now you can see in question 4 and 5, I've replaced the letter with open brackets. So 2x squared, the x has been changed with open brackets. Yeah, 3 times. And with 3x plus 5, I've replaced the x again with open brackets. Now, what they had to do in question 4 is we had to substitute 5 in, and then we had to substitute minus 4 in, and then we had to substitute 10 in. And for question 5, in part A, we had to substitute 2 in, then we had to substitute 6 in, and we had to substitute minus 1 in. Okay? The brackets concept is where when you have negative numbers, it really sorts all of those problems out. So now what I'm going to do is just type it exactly as I've written on the page. So 2 times 5, yeah, so this means 2 times the bracket squared, which gives me 50. And then all I have to do for the next bit is just scoot back up and just move that. You can see that what I'm doing is this one here, 2 minus 4 squared. So I just come back up here, scroll back up using this button here, delete minus 4, and the calculator does all the work for you. I just need to go back up here, change that to 10, and it gives me 200. It's very, very easy if you use the bracket system. And I'm just going to work backwards here, so I need to do that one for that one. So what I'm going to do is 3 open bracket plus 5. And then I'm going to substitute minus 1 in, so I come back up here, minus 1, and it will just do the answer for me. What could be easier? 6 is 23. And then for this one, I've got to just put 2 in, so delete 2, I get 11. So we've got this, so 4 plus 2 open bracket, 4 plus 2 open bracket, 4 plus 2 open bracket. In question 4, they want me to put 5 minus 4 and 10 in. So 5 minus 4 and 10 in. Okay, this will give you 14. This will give you minus 4, and this one will give you 24. Now this one's slightly different because we've got 2 letters, okay? But I want you to do the same thing. Just whenever you see a letter, open a bracket. Whenever you see a letter, open a bracket. So 3 open bracket plus 2 open bracket. 3 open bracket plus 2 open bracket. Now they'll tell me in question 7a that they want the x to be 1 and the y to be 2. So I just put 1 and 2 there. In part B, they want the x to be 4 and the y to be 3, so I put 4 and I put 3 here. And in part C, they want x to be 5 and they want y to be minus 4. Okay, none of which are an issue because once I've done it like that, I can just use the calculator. So in the first bit, I'm going to do 3 open bracket plus 2 open bracket, okay, and I wanted the x to be 1 and the y to be 2. That gives me 7, so that one is 7. And here they wanted the x to be 4, so I'm just going to scoot back up and change that to a 4 and change this one to a 3. That gives me 18. And this is the one that I would expect people to make a mistake if they don't use the bracket system. So that needs to be 5, and this system needs to be minus 4 and 7. So the calculator, because I'm using brackets, does all the work. So you can see in questions 8 and 9, I have just replaced the letters with open brackets. And I've done that 3 times. 3x squared plus 4y is 3 open bracket squared plus 4 open bracket, and so forth. Okay, so just written it out 3 times, and then I'm just going to put in the numbers that they suggest. So in part A, I've got 8a, they want 2 and 1, and in part B they want 1 and minus 2, and here they want minus 3 and 4, and in 9a they want 1 and 5, and they want minus 2, 2, and they want 3 minus 2. Okay? Now, none of this should freak you out because, again, we're just going to use our calculator. So this one gives you 12 take away 3, which is 9. I'll just do that one because it's not easy to put that calculator there. If I do that there, here I'm just going to do 6 open bracket, minus 3, minus 3 open bracket, okay? And then they wanted x to be 1, so I put 1 in here. And they wanted that to be minus 2. Now, if you didn't use brackets, this would be a difficult question. But with brackets, it's easy. Okay, they wanted the next part, they want that to be minus 3, so just change that to minus 3. And they want this one to be 4. Calculator will do all the work for you. And this one is supposed to be difficult, okay, but again, if you just use the calculator, it really isn't a problem. 3 open bracket squared plus 4. Yeah, so all I've done is just get it ready to take in the numbers. Yeah, replacing the letters with open brackets. And so it's got to be 1 and 5, so I just go up here, go 1 and 5. It's be 23. Then with this one, and this is where the examiner are expecting people to make mistakes, because there's a nasty minus sign in there. I'll just move it so you can see it a bit better. And all I'm doing is just replacing the previous substitution of 1 with minus 2, and the previous substitution of 5 with 2. It gives me 20, and this one needs to change to, for part C, it needs to change to 3, and that's supposed to be minus 2. That gives me 19.